What's up, everybody? I am here with the Evergreen Combat Sticks version 2. So I'm actually a big fan of the first version of the Evergreen Combat Sticks. There's a couple models that I really thought were really cool in that. I'm not a huge glass fan, so some of the glass models never really landed with me, but there was a couple spinning rods in the Gen 1 version that I absolutely loved. But this generation of combat sticks from Evergreen. If you're not familiar with Evergreen, it is a Japanese manufacturer. Typically most of their products are Japanese domestic market only. There's a handful of product families that are available here in the US, this being one of them. These are pretty new to the market here, but really understated, rich looking rods this time around. Last time they had big camo EVA grips on them and kind of flashier looking. From afar, these are much more understated and rich, high-end looking in my opinion. I'm a big fan of the cosmetics on these. Just kind of have green highlights where your little metal components would be here. Little touches of Evergreen on there. This rod right here, I grabbed two models to show you. This one here in spinning is the 610 medium extra fast action. Look at the tip on this thing. It is absolutely wild. This is what you'd call a stinger tip or a solid tip style rod. Now what makes this one unique, and you can't tell on camera here, but we'll do some bend tests behind us here, is how much more powerful this one is than the average stinger tip or solid tip style rod. Next up, I grabbed a 7.7. This is a moving bait, versatile moving deep cranking style rod. This is a 7.7 in a medium heavy, but it's a moderate action. But this is a composite rod, so it is a graphite rod for the most part. It does have some elements of those softer lower modulus materials to make it bend like a glass rod, but this certainly doesn't feel like that at all. This thing feels incredible in hand. They're lightweight. Once again, real rich accents on the rod that make it look like it's an expensive rod without sticking out super big time with any flashy stuff on it. I kind of dig that a whole bunch. So we'll bend both of these, the 7.7 medium heavy moderate here and that 610 extra fast spinning rod, and show you what the actions are like on these new Evergreen Combat Sticks. Back with the Evergreen Combat Stick. This one here is the 7.7 medium heavy moving bait, deep cranking versatile rod here. So we're gonna bend this thing up, and as you see, this thing has a pretty moderate action. Not super moderate, I mean, it is moderate. It's definitely slower action than average, but it's a little bit more up towards the tip. I can get into the backbone a little quicker than I could with a typical glass rod. I like that. I talk about that a lot here at Omnia, that I like moving bait rods that have a little bit more of a fast taper to them, just a soft power. I think I don't feel like I lose as many fish as I'm told I'm gonna lose with rods with more of a faster action that are just softer tapers. This one, the action of the rod definitely is a slower than fast, so I'd call it moderate fast or moderate action. It's certainly in the backbone, it gets pretty moderate, but cool rod here for moving baits from Evergreen International. This Evergreen Combat Stick here was the one I was pointing out earlier. It has such a crazy tip on it. This is what's called a stinger tip commonly in the JDM market, or a solid tip here in the States. So the tip action is a little bit more extreme. You ice anglers are familiar with these style tips. They're called quick tips in the ice fishing world. But in open water, it's pretty rare still. But you get some extreme action out of these rods. This one here, not as crazy on the old bend chart here as I'd like it to be to show you the action. If I get a little bit closer, I can show you how much more extreme that tip action's getting. But what's incredible is, what's hard to kind of verbalize to you guys, is if I just kind of line these up in my normal marks of where I want to bend the rods here. Let me give myself a little bit more line. All I have to do is literally twitch my wrist and this rod's loading up. What I want you to envision with that is, especially with today's forward-facing sonar techniques, if I've got a bait out, let's say 30, 40 feet away from the boat, 10 feet down the water column, I've got this little crazy light tip on this thing that I could sit there and shake that bait with, but just at the twitch of my wrist, I can get into that hook into that fish. So if I'm running lighter wire, medium wire style hooks, or terminal tackle, and I want to get a super fast hook set into those fish, I can have a light powered rod or more of a finesse style rod, but I've got lightning fast hookups with them. So really cool rod for a lot of the cool techniques that are out now, a lot of the newer techniques, I should say. It's up to you whether they're cool or not. But this tip on this rod is pretty unique, and I suggest you give this thing a shot. I'm bringing this one home.